All right, guys, here we go. Chapter 2, Becoming Naomi Leon. So yesterday we met all of our characters, or at least our main characters, and we know that they live in a trailer park, and we know that Naomi likes to carve soap. And we've met some of the other characters, the kind of the neighbors and so forth. And we know that Owen, even though he might have a physical disability, he certainly doesn't have any type of mental disability. And we also know that because Owen sneezed, that they were going to have a visitor, and they were all kind of trying to guess and infer and figure out who is coming to visit. Okay, so today, chapter 2, a skulk of foxes. The knocking became a pounding, and someone yelled, "Anyone home?" "That's not Fabiola," said Graham. "Naomi, you expecting anyone?" I shook my head. I thought I'd heard that voice before, but I couldn't put it to a face. Setting the bowl aside, my hand twitched and I missed the counter. The 3 soap carvings tumbled to the floor in a rain of white, feathery shavings. "For heaven's sakes, Naomi," said Graham, "it looks like a fox got into the hen house. Clean up that lickety-split and I'll get the door." Graham likes to say funny things, doesn't she? If a fox got in a hen house, there'd probably be feathers everywhere. And imagine that Naomi is shaving that soap and all the little pieces that she shaves, those thin little pieces. And when that spilled out, it kind of looked like feathers from those ducks all over the floor. And she said, "I'll clean that up lickety-split," which means right now. Graham got up, turned off the television, and reached the door in one step. "Did I mention that company's coming twice?" She did, didn't she? "I hope it isn't someone trying to sell me something, and me in my clown head. I surely don't need door-to-door makeup." So remember, Grandma rolled her hair? Graham rolled her hair, and she's got her hair all up in curlers. If it was a salesperson, they'd have to talk to Graham through the screen door, because she never, ever set foot outside the trailer in her hair curlers. Graham opened the door. She narrowed her eyes like she was trying to focus real hard. Have you ever just squinted your eyes so that you could look at something? While I cleaned up the soap mess, I craned my neck to see who was standing on the step. "Well, aren't you going to invite me in?" Graham truly looked like she'd seen an apparition, which is what she calls a ghost. Notice that little context clue that they just told us, an apparition is a ghost. She finally stepped aside, and a lady walked in, pulling a big black plastic garbage bag that she had to tug through the small door opening. "I got my belongings to fit in this one bag, and that's a miracle," said the lady. "You all were hard to find. I looked in 3 phone books before I found the address. I never suspected you'd be living in a trailer park." She wore jeans, red boots, a black leather jacket, and a hefty splash of sweet gardenia perfume. Her hair looked like that crayon called maroon, the one that's not purple and not red, but something in between. And for some reason, I couldn't take my eyes off her lipstick. It was the exact same color as her hair and went up and down in a perfect rounded M on her top lip. Owen sniffed the sweet air. "All right, so we're going to stop. I want you guys to kind of think, wonder who this lady is." She asked to be invited in. Graham let her in, and she's pulling all of her belongings in one garbage bag. Who on earth could this woman be? Think. Try to make a prediction, and let's see if it comes true. The lady looked at Owen and me and said in a sing-songy way, "Hi!" When she got no more than a blink from us, she sat down on the covered bench that served as the seat for the kitchen table. When the table was put up, the seat doubled as a fold-out bed. She took a long look at us, then turned to Graham, who was still holding the door wide open, and said, "Just look at these babies." All I could think was that nobody in their right mind would ever mistake me for a baby. Sure, Owen looked more like a kindergartner than a second grader, but it was for positive that he was nowhere near babyhood. Graham finally shut the door. The lady said, "My, you two have gotten big." A strange, queasy feeling crawled around my stomach. "Naomi, Owen, get yourselves over here and give me a hug." Slowly Graham shook her head back and forth, still looking dazed. "You can't just waltz in here after all these years and expect these children to recognize you." "Don't be silly," said the lady. "Children always know their mother. Don't you, darlings?" Dun, dun, dun. "Our mother," said Owen, his gravelly voice crackling. My heart pounded so hard that I feared it would leap across the room, and my thoughts started jumping and up and down on a trampoline and bouncing off the corners of my mind. Her face was round like Owen's, and her skin was so white it was almost pink like Owen's. I supposed that came from all the Oklahoma in her, but she didn't look anything like the pictures of the blonde teenager that let's turn the page, that Graham had shown us over the years. Still, her eyes and the smell of her perfume were strangely familiar. Graham said, "Naomi, Owen, go on in your room so I can talk to Terry Lynn." "Oh, that's not my name anymore. I changed it to Skyla. Isn't it beautiful?" "Naomi and Owen, come on over here. I would like to hug my children." We looked at Graham, and she nodded. Owen went first and reached out to hug Skyla, but before he could, she said, "Oh, look, you have something stuck to your shirt." And she reached down and started to pull off the long piece of tape pressed across his chest. Owen clasped his hands over the tape. Graham and I yelled at the same time, "No!" He likes it," I said. "It's just a little comfort thing he does," said Graham. Some kids had blankets or stuffed animals they dragged around. Others got contentment from twirling their hair or sucking their thumbs. Owen had to have tape stuck to his shirt, the clear kind people used to wrap presents. For some reason it brought him a peculiar satisfaction. Skyla pulled her hand back. "He wears it on purpose?" She looked from Graham to me to Owen, and then she started laughing. "Woman, what have you done to this boy?" Graham's eyes got all beady like pigeon eyes. "He's just fine. There's no harm done." Owen looked at Skyla as if she was a fairy princess, but still didn't take his hands off the tape. He gave her his biggest jack-o'-lantern smile, I swore his mouth was too big for his face, and said in a dreamy sort of way, "It's all right. You didn't know." I walked over to Skyla, and she put her hands on my shoulders, keeping me at arm's length. She did that sort of leaning in type of hug, with a quick cheek-to-cheek touch. It was not that I haven't seen you in 7 years type of hug that I would have expected. Then she did the same to Owen. I put my arms around Mr. Starry Eyes and herded him to the bedroom. As soon as we were there, Owen grabbed my hands and started jumping up and down. "It's our mother! It's our mother! Maybe she missed us and wants to know all about us and has presents for us." "Shh, Owen, stop," I said. We were only a lick and a promise from the living room/kitchen, separated by a flimsy accordion door, which I did not shut. I wanted to hear the conversation word for word. "I need a place to hang out for a while," said Skyla. "These children don't know you." "Well, it's about time they did." "You should have thought of that years ago," said Graham. "I'm not going to have you come in here, Terry Lynn, and messing with their lives." "I told you my name is Skyla." "And where did that come from?" said Graham. "My new boyfriend, Clive. He said I didn't look like a Terry Lynn. He said I looked beautiful, like the sky. I'm Skyla Jones now. I went back to my maiden name, and for your information, I'm not here to mess up these kids' lives. I'm just here to visit for a visit while Clive's at training." "Training?" said Graham. "He's a tattoo artist," said Skyla. "And don't look at me with that hard-eyed stare. There's good money in tattoos. He's learning dragons and flames from a guy in downtown San Diego. Clive is staying with him at the studio, and it's too small for me, too. So I thought since I was in the area, it'd be a good time to, reconnect with my children. Where have you been all this time? Asked Graham. I've had some trouble. What kind of trouble? Said Graham. Even though my ear was straining to catch a phrase, their voices gathered in a whirl of whispers I couldn't hear. Then we heard Skylar yell, "You can go along with me or not. I'm their mother, and Clive says I have rights." Now we could hear Graham loud and clear. "You left those children with me when that boy was a year old and covered head to hide with infected insect bites. Naomi was 4 and didn't even talk until she was almost 6. "Don't make out like it was such a big deal," interrupted Skylar. "Naomi was always stubborn and quiet, and Owen just had a few flea bites." "No, ma'am," said Graham. "Naomi went to a counselor for 2 years. She had selective mutism, and that's what it's called, from insecurities and Lord knows what other trauma during her young life. That's what the counselor told us, and Naomi still doesn't talk much. Owen was on antibiotics for 3 months to get him cleared up. There's no telling what went on in Mexico that caused those children's abominations. And now, 7 years later, after you never sent a card or made a telephone call to even let us know you were alive, you want to talk about your rights?" There was a little hitch in Graham's voice. "Terry Lynn, they're tied to me. You promised I could raise them proper with no interference. That's what we agreed on before you left." "Naomi and Owen seem fine now, so I couldn't have been that bad. And I've changed my mind about seeing them, that's all. Now I'm going to meet Clive, but I'll be back later, and I'd appreciate you calling me Skylar." Oh, we just have to stop right there, boys and girls. Can you imagine somebody coming into your home and acting like that? Wow! Oh, my goodness, Graham has got to be fit to be tied, right? And now we've got Naomi and Owen. Owen seems, super excited that Mom has showed up. Naomi just wants to hear what's going on. We're learning a little bit about the children's background, about their past. Graham got them when Owen was just 1 year old, and now he's 7, so she's had him 6 years. Naomi was only 4, so that means now she's 10, right? And they've had a lot of trauma in their background, in their lives, and even so much so they had to go see a counselor, okay? Owen was pretty sick when she got him. He had to be on antibiotics for 3 months, okay? So we're beginning to learn a little bit, and now Mom has showed up. She's changed her name. She's got a new boyfriend who's going to be a tattoo artist. So it doesn't sound like Mom really has it all together yet, but she wants to see the kids, or at least she wants a place to stay while Clive is off training, okay? So let's hang in there with all these characters. When the trailer door closed, the door jiggled beneath our feet. Owen and I ran to the louvered windows and looked out. There was just enough brightness from the porch light to see Skylar get into a red Mustang, touch up her lipstick, and pull away from the trailer. She tore out of the trailer park going faster than the posted 15-mile-per-hour speed limit. Part of me couldn't wait to see her again. The other part of me was wringing my hands like a contestant in the Worry Wart Olympics. All of a sudden, I had a million questions. Why did she come back? How long was she going to stay? Would she like us? Would we like her? My thoughts dived into a jumble in the middle of my mind. So, guys, now even Naomi is thinking, oh, my goodness, maybe I'd like to see some more of this woman. I got questions. I need answers. Can you imagine if you hadn't seen your mom in 6, 7 years and all of a sudden she just showed up and expected you to think things were just going back to normal? We've got a lot going on with these characters, don't we? And what's building? Our plot is building, isn't it? Oof, got a lot going on. Here we go. Well, let's go back. Did I stop us on half a sentence back there? Would she like us? Would we like her? My thoughts dived into a jumble in the middle of my mind, wrestled around until they were wadded into a fisted knot and attached themselves to my brain like a burr matted in a long-haired dog. We know what a burr is, right? It's a sticker burr. Okay, guys, so we've made it to chapter 3. We made it through chapter 2 today. We've got a lot going on, don't we? We've got some conflict going on with Naomi and Owen's mom coming in and Graham not being happy about it. And now the kids are even conflicted because Owen is excited. It's Mom. Did she bring us presents? Is she going to stay? And Naomi, who's got this queasy feeling in her stomach, but she still has questions for this mom that has entered their lives. And don't you think these two young kids seeing that bright red Mustang might also be intrigued by this sports car? Because don't kids love sports cars? So we have a lot going on, some turmoil building, some conflict. The plot is rising. We're doing that rising action with our plot. Okay, guys, until tomorrow, you guys take good care of yourself, take care of one another, and I will see you tomorrow where we will read part of chapter 3. Until then.